Hello, hello, and welcome to the Bellingham Real Estate Podcast. I'm Paul Balzotti. I'm here with Crissy Impero.
Hello.
Welcome, Crissy. And today we're talking farm and land, and we're going to cover Crissy's story because she's got a really great background that makes her an expert in the topic. We're going to talk about open space. We're going to talk about water rights, and just in general, if you're looking to build or to find a home out with some property, we're going to kind of hopefully give you some good insights into that topic. So, Crissy, welcome.
Well, thank you.
You've been with John L. Scott Real Estate for a couple years now.
Yep, loving it.
Awesome. And talk to us about your background growing up. I know you grew up in Whatcom County, and why I'm talking to you about farm and land.
Yeah, I grew up not too far from here off of Racine Street. And so this area here used to be forested, and I used to play here all the
We're
time.
in Barclay Village.
Yeah, in Barclay Village. So my feet were literally under this building
That's funny.
as a younger person. And so, yeah, I moved to Montana and Eastern Washington for a little while, kind of got a little into farming there when I moved here and I married my husband. We have a farm. We raise Hereford beef cows and chickens and that sort of thing. And we sell meat and cows and all that. So I do have some farm experience and a little building experience because we built a house a few years ago and stuff and went through all that.
How many acres are you on?
We have 21.
21 acres, and you built the home on 21 acres?
Yeah. I had an old farm home originally on there. And so we lived in it while we were building the home, and then we tore the other one down.
Yeah, and I know you sell your beef because we've had your beef here, and then you also sell hay, correct?
Yep.
And
we have all of our farm equipment, all the hay and equipment, and my father-in-law owns adjoining properties. So we move cows and we hay different fields, and so we supply for our own, and then we have enough to sell to pay for equipment and all that stuff. So
you're not doing it really like as a big time business, but more.
It's not a big profit deal. It pays for itself. It just lets us be good stewards of the land and have the land and pay for some of the taxes and things that we like to do with it. And we really love it. It's fun. It's a lot of hard work, but it's fun. And if you like hard work, farming's for you. So, yeah.
Well, you got grass-fed beef, right?
Yep.
Organic grass-fed beef.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No grain whatsoever. And they're free range and they're happy. And we take really good care of them. And same with the chickens. We take good care of them.
Of course, chickens too.
Yeah. Right now I have like 30 chickens, so it's not a lot.
That's not very many.
No, I provide for the neighbors and family and sometimes sell some here at work and stuff like that. So it's just fun.
No, that's
fun
cool.
Hobby.
That's cool. Yeah. I mean, chickens is a thing, right?
Yeah, I've been raising them since I've been 5, so they're,
Nice.
I just hatched some too. I have an incubator and hatched a whole bunch, so
nice.
It's fun, yeah.
So let's get into kind of talking about the general farm and land kind of home search in Whatcom County. So really, if you're looking to get out into the county, I know that you can go in pretty much any direction, East County, North County.
Right.
There's a variable amount of different types of property all over that could be great, and the soil and everything can...
Yeah, it can vary. It can vary. A mile difference. One could have clay and one could be sandy loam, and you just never really know. So they all vary on what you could... successfully grow there or raise there. So,
and you told me that before, and that is something that I didn't really know that, because I mean, I guess I knew that, but I didn't really know that because I always was trying to figure out where the pockets were of land in Whatcom County that had the best soil, because people ask that.
Yeah.
But it always seemed like, no, there's some good over here, there's some good over here, there's some good over here.
Yeah.
And it could vary quite a bit.
It really can. And, where an old river bottom or creek bottom was compared to where a glacial till came through. So, you get places where there's certain areas in Everson, you can raise raspberries, dairy, all that sort of stuff. And other places, there's a gravel pit right next to it. So, it's pretty varied.
Yeah. And so somebody's trying to get, off the grid, or they're just trying to do a little bit of a hobby farm. They want some acreage. The first topic I wanted to cover is water. So, water, a lot of people can get a little bit concerned about private water as private wells, as far as, different things that you can find in the water, issues you can have with a well. When you guys were building, because you built on acreage, what's your preference as far as if somebody wants to do something similar to what you're doing, where they want to have some cows, want to have some chickens, want to do, or maybe want to do a little growing. Do you prefer to see a private well? Like if you're searching for a buyer, do you prefer to see a private well, or maybe a shared well or community water can be better, or I mean, how do you feel about wells?
It just depends. And, when we do our sales and stuff, we have generally a well addendum in there where we can check and see the quality of the water and how much it actually produces, how much per minute it has in production. And if it has a low production, that's not the best. You're not going to get, a lot of water. Or if there's a history of wells around there going dry or something. And the nice thing about wells is like you could irrigate a little bit and stuff. Right now we're not metered in Whatcom County. That could come in the future, but right now we're not. So you could do a little bit of irrigation and that sort of thing with the well, where if you're on a water association, generally the water is good quality water. It gets monitored all the time, but you're not, they're not going to let you irrigate a couple acres of blueberries or something like that.
Yeah, so I wonder how that works, because there's a lot of community water associations in Whatcom County.
Yeah.
And like there's the Old Guide Water Association. There's a ton of them. And I wonder, there must be a point where they start kind of noticing, okay, you're using this for more than your house.
Yeah, exactly. And so that sort of thing, it's generally just for your personal use. You might be able to water your lawn unless they say, hey, you can't do it. It's just we're running low. Don't water anymore. And that's in general conservative, right? But as far as that, you can also, if you're on a water association, you can punch a well too, and you could do both. Yeah,
so you could have a separate. You could have a separate if you're trying to do a little bit more.
Yeah, if you're gonna garden a little bit. Like one place I have an off-market listing that's just taken a little while to get all the ducks in a row for it, and the water there is a little brackish. It's close to Birch Bay.
What did you say, brackish?
It's just got a little of that salt watery,
okay.
It's just not, it's
I don't hear that term very much.
Brackish water. Yes, it's good term. Anyway, that water is probably not the best for a home, because then you'd have to do a whole bunch of filtration systems and that sort of thing for it to make it good quality drinking water.
Sure.
Or washing your clothes. You don't want your clothes turning orange or something from irons or coppers. So anyway, the brackish water or something might be great for irrigating, but it might not be good for home use.
That's a good point. That's a good point. So you could do just a separate, smaller well that,
as long as it's permitted, you just have to apply for a permit,
right?
And see if they approve.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And if you're just doing cows and chickens and hay,
just basic well water is fine.
You don't even need extra water for that, right?
Not much, no.
Yeah.
We have it, but you probably could run it off of a water association. A water association, I would assume, would ask what your plans are for the water too. And if you have 20 acres and you're on a water association and you've got 10 cows that you're constantly watering, they might charge you more based on meters or something. So yeah.
Fair enough. So the next thing I wanted to get to is before we move on, with water, is there a concern about the county moving to metering?
There is.
Or, do you think that's really going to happen, or do we just don't know?
It's been talked about a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know where it's at in legislative process or anything,
okay.
But who knows?
Okay.
I'm not gonna guess one way or the other.
Fair enough. So on private wells, for now, it's what you're saying. It's a benefit in a lot of ways, because you have the freedom to essentially do what you want with the water.
For the most part. You could run your well dry if you go overboard.
Right.
And one thing that people don't realize, when you're on a well and septic in the county, you can't everybody take a shower at the same time, run your dishwasher and your washing machine at the same time. It will overflood your septic and put a lot of work on your well pump, and so you want to space them out.
Yeah,
like do your laundry at night or your dishes at night or something when your people aren't showering and all that.
Yeah,
sort of
that's
thing.
a good point, because we're not even talking about septic systems.
Yeah, that's another thing in the county. You're pretty much going to be on a septic system unless you're in a community where they have, close enough to town where they've hooked everybody up to sewer.
So on septic systems, there's gravity systems, there's mound systems. What do you have?
We have a mound system. We have a lot of clay in our soil, so it wouldn't perk well enough to be in a ground system.
Okay. And gravity systems and mound systems, for people who aren't familiar with septic systems, pretty much almost everybody, if you're on farm and if you're kind of on acreage, you're going to be on septic. And gravity is where it's literally in the ground and you don't see the mound, which is, it's nice to not see the mound, but then you have this whole swath of your property that is a big giant drain field. And if you're looking at homes online, you might see a property and say, oh, I love that backyard. And part of the backyard is unusable because it's the drain field.
Right.
I like a mound system in that, it's, you know where it's not the prettiest sometimes, but then it's just there and you don't have it drains in the mound instead of draining out into the yard.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And we have to fence around ours so the cows don't get up on top of it and stuff. And
I never thought about that.
Yeah. And you're not supposed to, any drain field really, you're not supposed to plant trees or anything where root systems can get near it. And if you have it inspected, it has to have no blackberries, nothing, on top. So, so things growing on the top, you need to just keep it clear and stuff. So,
Yeah.
Yep.
So you're good with your mound system.
Yep.
You're happy with it. No
and
issues
ours is
there.
quite a ways away from our house,
Really?
too. Yeah.
Do you have to have like a jet line that runs out? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's kind of back along a tree line. So, it's there, but it's not like an eyesore.
It's out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. Yeah.
Do you have a garbage disposal?
We do. We don't really use it. We have a trap.
Because you're not supposed to have a garbage disposal.
You're not supposed to. Grease and all that's
system.
not supposed to be the best thing that goes into that and chunks of food. But we always have a little trap to catch stuff, and then every so often we'll run a little bit through, but we don't do a lot.
That's probably fine.
Some people overuse their
Right.
garbage disposal, so it's like for everything.
Yeah.
So,
So now I wanted to touch on open space and forestry land because especially in our market, when buyers start searching for homes on land or just vacant land, but a lot of homes on land, there's a lot of properties in open space right now. Talk to me about open space, forestry land, what that means. But benefits versus.
Yeah, it's really kind of 6 in one, half a dozen in the other on how you want to do it. Basically, what they did back in the 1970s, they just did this new taxation program where it's basically open space, forest land taxation, and instead of taxing it at its highest and best use, they're taxing it at its current value, so that it's a much lower taxation. So, like ours would be probably more than half the price of what we're currently paying in taxes. We don't have our property in open space or ag land right now. But it can save you a lot in taxes, but you have to do a few things in the meantime. Like it doesn't have a minimum. The farm and ag doesn't have a minimum acreage, but you have to produce at least $1,500 a year in what you're doing. Say you're selling dahlias on the side of the road or eggs or hay or something like that. You have to do up to 5 acres. You have to do at least $1,500 worth of sales, and then beyond 5 acres,
$1,500 per year.
Per year.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, per year. I'm sorry, not month or anything.
Yeah.
And if it's more than 5 acres, you have to show that you're earning at least $200 acre. So, and which you can do, haying it, you can do that because a hay bale is like $7.50 a bale, and on 5 acres, I could probably get 400 bales. So it starts adding up. And then we have the cows and stuff. I've chosen not to do it because one of the problems with going into that designation is when you take it out of that designation, none of our inheritable family members really want a farm. And so if we ever decide to subdivide and build houses or something like that, then we would have to pay all the back taxes, up to 7 years of back taxes on our ag land, and penalties and interest.
So this is an important point. So and this is a big thing throughout the county, right? Is when you go to buy a home that's in open space, if you want to take it out of open space, then basically like all the back taxes would have to be paid at that time. So when something is being sold in open space, they want to keep it in open space,
right? They want to keep it they want to have you fill out a continuance form. Or otherwise the seller will get hit with all the back taxes and penalties. And so, and sometimes you'll see these properties come up and you go, boy, that's a deal, because they take into consideration.
And the property taxes are low.
Like I just sold a 20-acre forest land that had like $460 a year livable buildings on there, but the timberland is like $1 an acre or something like that. So the taxes were incredibly low. Okay. And so who would want to take it out of that, right?
Yeah.
You got all the privacy in the world. You've got $50,000 to $100,000 of marketable timber on your property, and all you have to do
So
is
they just have to
plant some
sell a
trees
little
every
bit. They
so
just have to
often.
sell a little bit of timber.
If they want to, yeah, you can keep it in timber
To
for
keep-
the whole
yeah.
time. But what they really want you to do is replant and keep it as
Right.
timber property and create some economy. But yet at the same time, you're helping stabilize the soil and drainage. And that's one of the reasons that they even implemented this program, is so people weren't getting taxed
The
out of their
forestry did.
properties.
Yeah.
And the open space and ag lands and stuff. Otherwise you start getting taxed right out of being able to afford your property.
Sure.
Too.
Sure.
So some people, not every,
Yeah, and
everybody's
what
different.
I find is it seems like a lot of them that are in open space, they'll have 20, 30 acres, and then it's like $800 annual property taxes instead of $5,000.
Yeah.
But in a lot of cases, they apply and they're collecting income, and then they kind of like stop doing it at some point. And then the buyer is left with this situation where they go, oh, yeah, I want to keep my property taxes low, but how do I get the income?
Yeah.
And sometimes there's timber or hay, some really obvious ways where you could make income. Sometimes there's not.
Yeah.
And people had come up with a way to get the income initially, and then kind of like the county hasn't really been good at tracking that.
No, not too. They will if they think they're losing a lot of taxes.
But I mean,
yeah.
at the property transfer, they're definitely going to be interested.
Yeah, that goes through escrow too. The escrow makes
Yeah.
sure that the continuance form is signed and
Right.
that sort of thing. So,
Right.
and I put mine in the supplements and let them know this is what you're getting into, and and it's actually a great deal. But there's things that you can do. You can rent horses equestrian. If you have a fenced pasture, you
That's
can
true.
rent out and earn it that way. Equestrian's considered agriculture as well, just renting for horses. You could even get dairy heifers, young female cows, and let them feed through the summer, and you get paid to let them do that.
See, these are
So
things.
there's
this
things
is,
that you could
this
do
is
to-
why
yeah.
this is why they should be talking to you if they're right, because
There's-
I wouldn't
there's
have thought of
avenues.
that. I wouldn't
Yeah.
have thought of
Yeah,
that.
there's avenues. Mhm.
So a large swath of homes for sale on acreage are in open space or forestry. Benefits, lower tax rates. You potentially do have some additional income. So it's kind of a double lower tax rates and a potential income. Negative is that property, that part of the acreage can't be used, or at least it can't be used for any other purpose than what you're,
Yeah, you can't subdivide it.
or you
And-
can't, even if it's
yeah.
if it's marketable, or if it's, in some cases, if it's forestry land, you can't go in and start clearing half the property, right? You have
Right.
to kind of keep it
Yeah.
somewhat preserved.
Yeah, and they only allow, I think, in forest land like 10% of it to be used for accessory purposes, and so you can have like one house on it, and you can't have multiple residents and all that sort of thing on a 20-acre piece. It's
You're maybe
the
just
one.
doing a trail for recreational purposes, and that's pretty much
or
it.
or even to log, just to
Right.
get in to do your logging. So,
Yeah. So the benefits are there, but buyer beware. If you want to take it out of open space, the seller's probably not going to want to go along with that. It's going to be a whole new negotiation.
It's really ambiguous too on what what that final fee is going to be, because it says right in the literature you're paying up to 7 years of back taxes, interest that would have been made on those back taxes, and possible penalties. So if you're going to subdivide off a piece to build something else, and say you have 20 acres and you want to subdivide off into R5s, and you're taking them out of that designation, you're going to be hit with a pretty sizable bill, I think.
Yeah, and the seller's
And
going
it
to
might
want.
be worth it. It might be a worth it bill. A
Yeah.
farmer's last and most profitable crop is a subdivision, right? So-
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But the
But,
seller's not going to want to take that on. So you're
No.
going to have to be negotiating that into your contingencies of your contract,
Right. Yep.
to figure out what that is and to
Yep.
assume that.
Mhm.
So the last thing I want to talk about is building versus resale. So somebody wants to do a hobby farm, or they want to get out and get some property. I think that it kind of goes one with the other, that I think naturally most people would prefer, if they could, to build.
Yeah. Dream
And
home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and secondary would be, okay, well, if not, I'm going to find my own property. It's a little bit, in some cases, it's a little bit more doable than, like, say, in the city, because permitting's cheaper. There's possibilities for like kit homes and modular homes in many cases. So there's some effective ways to try to build out in the county. But our county's also not the easiest to work with either. no offense
Way to
to
win
anybody.
friends, Paul.
Yes, I'm sorry. But
Just teasing.
yeah, but But you did it.
Yeah.
What's your advice to people who want to have some property, but they do have a budget, building versus buying a resale home?
To build, one thing, really look at if there's any covenants on there. You'll see a lot of them where they won't allow like manufactured homes.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So
Okay.
that's one thing I would make sure maybe they don't allow more than X stories, or so your dream home wouldn't work out there. I would definitely look at, when you think of your plans, what would the fire marshal say about if you need it sprinkled, because that's an extra expense.
That's a good point. If it's over a certain square footage, if you want to build a bigger house.
And that can be a moving target, so I don't want to go into what ours was, because it could be changed by now. But anyhow, sometimes you can detach your garage to make your square footage look a little smaller and stuff. Even though that's not considered in the square footage, they will want you to sprinkle your garage if it's attached. Because the fire will just move into your house if it started in the garage, right? So anyway, so there's things that you could do with that, as far as you would want to know, get your ducks in a row of what will be an expense to me. If you have a steep grade, will the fire marshal come in and make you widen the road and steepen the grade? That'll be an expense. If there's, you have to have enough room in your plan. If you do need a bigger home, and we have a big, huge space with a big, huge tank for our sprinkle system for our house. And so we had to modify our mechanical room to fit that.
Yeah.
So there's things that you might not think about right off the bat. And it's good. We have several people who came to our house and went through our house before they built to, okay, yeah, we're going to need that too. And yeah, this is how much it cost. And it always costs more than you think.
Yeah.
It always costs more than you think.
What about with water though?
So,
Did you guys buy the land before you knew?
We already had a well.
You already had a well in place.
We already had a house there. We had an older home there.
Okay, so that's kind of where I wanted to get to.
Yeah.
Is I know you want to say that too. Probably is that gosh, it makes such a big difference if there's something existing already there, like a manufactured home or an older home.
It's already got a footprint.
Yeah,
it's already
because
got
when you
that.
just see raw land,
it's hard for him to say no when you've already had a home established on the premises. Another thing that's probably the hardest thing in Whatcom County is wetlands. That's one of the biggest things. The setbacks from any creek or mud puddle or whatever. I mean, they'll have a setback for it. And so that's one thing. You've got to own the land to even start your permit process. And one of the first parts of your permit process is seeing where you can build. And you might not be able to build where you think you can build at all.
Yeah, you might see a little creek. You might see a little creek and they say it's salmon buried.
And it's all different. If it's a year round, it's different from a seasonal, and it's different all in there. So it gets messy. It gets really messy. And so that's for the wetland thing. The one thing I didn't realize is you can have one wetland specialist come in and do a survey, and if you don't like it, have another one come in and do it. And it's the one that you file is the one that goes on record. So one person might give you a little more grace than the other. Yeah. And so it's all who you file with. Of course, it costs a little money to have more people come in, but sometimes you get one person that's a little more stringent than another.
Well, and with houses, if there's any sort of house there and it had water, then you can test the water, sample the water.
Yep.
Whereas, gosh, if you have to drill a well and you have to buy the land before you drill the well, I mean, that is just such a can of worms as far as the potential kind of thing. So just knowing you have the water in place, then the footprint thing is a big deal, because if the house is on that footprint, I had a client who was looking at a manufactured home that was on 5 acres in Custer, and he said, because where the footprint of the house is, you can keep a house on that footprint, even though it's within this location even though it's closer to the creek than they'd let you build now. But he also noted that you got to be buyer beware on assuming that you can do the same thing, because they said, as long as you keep the footprint of the house the same size, so if you tore down that manufactured home and built in that same location, but as soon as you try to widen the footprint,
you're exactly right.
Then they throw out grandfathering in out the window. And so there's a lot of variables even with that.
Yeah, just go up, right?
Yeah, and I mean, we got to love that we're in a county. I do appreciate that we're in a county that cares about the environment and cares about having everything done the right way. but it's challenging if you're looking to
it's
build.
restrictive in
Yeah.
a lot of ways, and good and bad reasons in
Yeah.
there. Yeah, so I mean, mostly good, but at the same time, it's like, dang it, you know?
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
I wanted that view, and I can't get that view because I can't build there.
Right.
And then there's also additions. Sometimes they're easier than a total build. So if you have a old farmhouse, you might be able to do an add-on instead of a full build. And
Yeah.
sometimes you get a little more leniency that way too.
Yeah, doing kind of a
Mm-hmm.
gut remodel and keeping 15%. I think it's 15% of the property. If you keep 15% of the property, then you can essentially keep
Expand
that
on it.
property and do a remodel instead of, but you're basically rebuilding
Yeah,
it.
you basically are, but it's easier permitting on
Yeah.
that. You don't have to go through all the same, loopholes and stuff. So
Yeah.
yep.
Well, very good.
easier.
Well, I think that pretty well covers it. At least the topics I wanted to talk about today with you. Thank you, Crissy, and thank you for listening or watching, you guys, and cheers.